Hello guys, welcome back to another video essay. So this is the third video essay I'll be making on my channel, and this one is going to be called The Love You Give Me video essay. Yep. So if you guys aren't aware of this C-drama, because yes, it's a C-drama, that means Chinese drama, that I very much highly recommend, and you'll see why I highly recommend this drama. And let me give you a brief background of what this story is about. The story is about a young woman named Xin Qi who falls in love for a man named Xin Qi, but she ends up pretending to be Xin Qi's lost childhood friend to help the friend who's died suddenly. To add on to these unfortunate circumstances, Xin Qi suffered from a dangerous and life-threatening heart condition that concerned Min Hui, as she didn't want to see someone she loves in pain. To make matters worse, each time she tried to tell him the truth, he cuts her off, doesn't believe her, or his heart condition would relapse. Once he finally learned the entire truth, he cut all ties with her, not wanting to see her ever again. After 5 years later, they meet each other again at a business event, but it still remains the complicated circumstances. To later find out they have a child. Ooh. Okay. But yeah, so that is the background. I do apologize for kind of being very slow at reading it. This usually I do not struggle that much when it comes to reading stuff, especially when it's on paper and I can just read it, but sometimes I'm just so tired and I can't read. But yeah, so that is the background. So if you guys are familiar with it, or if not and this interests you, please check it out. I highly recommend it. You can find it on this app called Viki. It's an app that usually has a lot of Asian dramas. So I really do recommend you check it out on there. And if not, check it out. I believe you can just search it on a legal website or somehow. But I would recommend to watch it on Viki since it's free. You don't have to pay for anything, unlike other shows on Viki you would have to. But with this show in particular, you don't have to pay for it. So I would recommend you watch it on there because it's free and you're actually supporting the show. Because this show deserves more love, and that's literally what this video essay is going to be called, needs more love. Because seriously, this show, I do not see a lot of people talking about it, and it honestly frustrates me because this show is amazing and it deserves the praises. So if you do not know what this show is, please check it out. I really do urge you guys to check it out. Anyway, so let's finally begin with this video essay. So let's first start off with the characters. So we're first going to start with Min Hui, since we mentioned her, and she is the main protagonist. People would probably argue with me and be like, oh, but also Xin Qi's the main protagonist too. Yes, he is, but I personally feel like the writer of this story, she very much wanted her to be more of the main focus, since it really shifted more on her more than anyone else. So I would say that honestly, I would say she is the main protagonist. But of course, if you want to argue that he's also the main protagonist too, go on and say, I'm not gonna come for you and be like, you're wrong, I mean, I can understand why people would view him as the main protagonist also, because I mean, he is, but I wouldn't say he's the major character of the story. I would still say she is very much, but that is, again, my opinion. So, wanna, give your reasons why you think he's also the main protagonist, go on for it, Also, I do apologize if this light flickers. This light tends to do that a lot, so if you see the light flicker a little bit, I am so sorry, but that's what happens with this light, so hopefully you guys don't mind. But yeah, that was random, but I just had to get that out of the way. But going back to what I was saying though, but yeah, so if you want to, argue with that in the comments, I am totally fine with it. Just do it respectfully, please. Thank you. Okay, so let's finally get into Min Hui's character. There's a lot to talk about with her character, but let's first talk about the traits that I love about her character. So for one, I love her being very ambitious, because I've noticed when it comes to a lot of characters that are women, they tend to be not as ambitious, actually, and it honestly sucks. Because I'm just like, why is it always the male characters always having to be ambitious? Why can't it also be the women as well, you know? And so that's always something that bugged me, and like anything that's, you know, obviously like a story, it always has bugged me when it came to that. I don't understand why they don't show this as much, when obviously just like how men are, you know, ambitious about things, we are just as well. So I just personally don't understand why that is an issue when it comes to stories, when I'm just like, anyone can be ambitious. It doesn't even have to just be a man, you know. Women can be ambitious. Anyone in general can be ambitious. So let's continue with this. So yeah, she is very ambitious, and I love that they added this for her character, because it goes to show how dedicated she is to achieving her dreams. Because as I mentioned, she is a very ambitious character, and it's literally seen throughout the story that she's always like pushing her project, you know, forward with people, and she's always telling people like, please like support my project. I really want my company to you know, get lots of attention from this project, since we believe that it will change many people's lives and this and that, etc. Like, she's always was like really like big on her own project, and you know, for people to see it and talk about it and all that stuff. So that was always something that she was always big on, is very much whatever she is, and she wants to achieve in her dreams. So I really do like that a lot about her character. I would also like to add that when times are hard, she would just always get back up again. She would always be ready to just fight back for what's right for her company, friends, civilians, and family. And not only is she ambitious, but she's also very strong. And you can see this throughout the story. Her character has been through a lot of traumatic events in her life, and some of these being her son, and her son's name is Min Shen Shen, who struggles with a heart condition like his father, her relationship with Xin Qi, and the essay. I'm not going to explain what essay is, because I'm pretty sure most of you guys do know what it is, but if you don't, I can tell you what it is in the comments, but I cannot say it on the video because YouTube will probably come for me if I do say it. So if you don't know what that is, someone can nicely explain it to you in the comments, or I can. And I was encountered with Chen Jia. I hate him. I absolutely hate his character. Like, you have no idea how many times I would scream at the drama just every time he came out.
Like, every single time he came out, I would literally scream at the show, because I just hate his guts so much. Like, I hated that man.
So yeah, just from me saying the whole thing with the essay that was encountered with him, you already know why I hate him. That already very much says why I hate him. But there's more to it, to why I hate him. And then also her pregnancy and etc. Because like I said, she dealt with a lot of stuff. It wasn't just those things that I mentioned. There's even more than that, but those are some that were very like major and that stood out the most from everything. So I would say those events were like the most traumatic for her. But throughout these hardships, she still remained strong in the end, and that is just empowering to see, especially knowing about the way women are treated in China and overall all around the world. So I put this here because I was doing some research in regards to this, and I'm going to actually insert an article here. Okay, so I actually found 2 articles that talk about the way women are viewed in China, but I'm going to only talk about just this one and only like one section of it because it's a pretty long article from the one I'm reading. But I do recommend you guys check this one out, and you don't have to read obviously everything of it, but at least go through most of it and to see like, you know, what this is about more like to your own knowledge. And also because it's a really great article, and I think everyone should have like a quick read at least of what it's about. But I will share a little bit of this article with you guys just so you know where I'm coming from with this, so you guys can know what I'm talking about. The article is called An Empirical Analysis of the Impact of Gender Inequality and Sex Ratios at Birth on China's Economic Growth. Okay, bear with me if I start randomly stuttering any words or not being able to say words, so I do apologize in advance. But here we go. Knowing the word inequality, there are many opinions, and it may be an important factor in causing widespread social ills such as health inequalities, educational disadvantage, crime, and intergenerational mobility, which can weaken social cohesion. It conveys economic execution in a more complex way than the simple trade-off between inequality and economic growth. Societal productivity is constrained, and ultimately the process of economic growth is slowed by persistent inequality, causing the economy to pay the price for current declines in productivity and future declines in national output. Since the early 1980s, a central policy issue has been the increase in income and house income inequality. Global income inequality has widened as a result of the recent COVID-19 pandemic, especially in emerging economies such as China, both within and between countries, setting back progress by a decade or more. Low-income vulnerable groups such as women, youth, and informal workers face severe income loss and severe unemployment. Women and informal workers in China have higher levels of inequality in terms of access to healthcare and education, as well as the scale of income loss in jobs due to COVID-19. China's development goals will be missed as Chinese policymakers face a clearly faltering economy, a challenge compounded by China's persistent inequality. The number of workers flowing into the less secure informal economy has risen sharply due to changes in the labor market, while employment in China's formal manufacturing sector is declining. In China, many employees lack the competencies needed to perform high-skilled and high-wage jobs, and this inequality continues in education and healthcare as the Chinese economy seeks to reach high-income status. The Gini coefficient values calculated by the National Bureau of the Statistics and the China Family Group study in the graph below are higher than other countries and continue to rise. So that was just a little bit of what the article was talking about. I didn't want to read the whole entire thing because it's a very long article, and obviously that would take up the whole entire video, but that was just a little peek I wanted to talk about with this article, since it's a really good article, and it really goes into detail about how the economy, without women, and how, especially in China, how it wouldn't be the same without women in it. So it's a really great article, so I highly recommend you read into it, because it doesn't only talk about obviously the struggles with what women go through, but also it goes through just in general about how everything has had an impact due to ever since the pandemic. So I would highly recommend you check that out. And yeah, and that is all. So the editing me took over just now because I wanted to insert this article that I found while doing my research on this specific topic in China, especially regarding the way women are treated in China. So I wanted to put that article there just to educate those, especially also myself, regarding how different it is when it comes to the way women are treated over there, and obviously how all of it works. So I just wanted to put that there. So she's also very smart and is a workaholic, as she is always working and usually avoids those around her that tell her to take breaks. This girl would not take a break. Let me tell you, the many times I got frustrated from seeing her just constantly working, which, okay, don't get me wrong, okay? I do the same thing. I completely understand her, okay? I do. When it comes to that whole entire thing being a workaholic, I'm very much a workaholic. Once I'm doing something,
there's no going back. Sometimes I cannot even listen when somebody says, hey, I'll take a break. And I'm just I need to finish this. I need to get this done,
So I understand where she's coming from, but I'm just seeing that as the viewer, you're just she clearly is tired. She needs a break, and she's still pushing and pushing herself to the point she can literally faint. And it's happened a couple times almost, and so that is why I'm girl, please give yourself a break. So yeah, she does not listen to people when it comes to that aspect. And I've listed her positive traits about her character. Let's now move on to her flaws. So since the camera decided to die on me, we have to now continue. I had to wait a little bit. So she doesn't have a lot of flaws from what I know, but if you also have seen the show and you notice any other flaws about her character, please let me know down in the comments. And yeah, because as of right now, these are only the ones just one actually, the only one that I recall, but if there is more, let me know in the comments. So as I mentioned already about her past with Xin Qi, there was toxicity that took place within their relationship, and that very much goes back to the story to begin with, his childhood friend, Su Tian. Due to her line about being Su Tian, this created lots of trust issues between Xin Qi and Min Hui. Of course, she knew it was wrong and owned up to it, but that was very much who Xin Qi took her as first. Like, he legitimately thought that was her. He was like, oh, you're Su Tian, huh? Like, he literally didn't say anything like, oh, you're probably lying, or, oh, like, I don't remember you looking like this. And, you know, he didn't question anything. He just accepted it right away the moment she told him. Like, I understand, you know, if someone says that to you, you would be like, okay, like, why would they fake that, you know? But it's like, you can't really trust people these days. So I was surprised how, like, he took her as being his childhood friend, Su Tian. Like, he took her automatically as Su Tian, and I was just like, no, that you shouldn't always believe everything right away. I'm just saying, don't be so gullible, guys. So yeah, I was just like,
ooh, that's bad.
but yeah, so the moment he found out, he questioned everything, and it got to the point of wanting to not see each other anymore. Like, I am not kidding, guys. Like, it was so sad. Like, they literally did everything together, and when I mean everything together, they
did everything together.
You can see it throughout the show. I'm not gonna specify as to what I mean. You can see it for yourself, or if you already watched the show, you know what I mean. And so it's just sad how much they were in love, and, you know, obviously once he found out that she wasn't Su Tian, it all went all bad after that. Like, it was really bad. She very much had good intentions, but pretending to be someone you're not is just terrible. Like, again, you should never impersonate that you're somebody else. Like, that is just terrible. But yeah, don't do that. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, everywhere around the world, like, if you're trying to be someone you're not, obviously that is illegal. But this is why I love her. She is not perfect, and for women, they're also portrayed in society to be perfect, but we're not. And this is very much why I love how flawed she was in terms of that aspect. Like, it was definitely something I wanted to see, since, like I just said, like, women are always perceived to be perfect, and obviously, like, for us to be someone with no flaws, you know, we have to always look pretty, as in, you know, put makeup all the time, shave all the time. We always have to look very perfect or act perfect. And so just seeing that obviously she has flaws and she's not a perfect human at all, it very much is super realistic, you know, and I very much appreciate that they added this for her character. But yeah, that concludes her character, and now let's move on to Xin Qi. So, I'm going to be very honest, guys. I personally didn't like Xin Qi at the very beginning of the show, because my first impression of him gave off this cocky, rude, and toxic vibes, which ended up being completely wrong, by the way. He was cold to Min Hui, but it was because of their past. That was very valid to be cold towards. Like, again, her trying to be someone, more specifically, his friend that is dead. That was just so wrong. Like, girl. Like, I still can't believe she did that. I'm, like, so shocked. I was like, oh my god, that's, like, the worst thing you can do. Well, one of the worst things you can do, of course. But, like, it's just so bad. I'm like, oh my god. Again, I would don't ever pretend to be someone you're not, guys. Seriously. But anyway, but over time, he became more funny, talkative, and sweet. I'm just glad he ended up being the opposite of what I first thought of him as. Because like I said, like, I literally took him as someone that was super toxic. Like, I literally, like, he was just so cold to her. I was like, why is he so cold-hearted for her? And every time they would encounter each other, he would always just be really, like, I don't know, rude. Like, I was just like, what the hell? Like, dude. Like, why are you treating a woman like that? You know, like, I was, like, so, offended by the way he was at first. I was like, don't act like that. But I ended up being very wrong about it. So for his greatest qualities, for one, an amazing dad and husband. Yes.
He's a great guy, guys.
He's always helping out his family whenever they need anything, always puts them first. And that alone already showed me his green flags. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I was just like, oh my god, like, he is not only a loving husband, but he's also, like, just would do anything for his family. I'm like, that is a huge green flag for me. So I was just like, yes sir, yes sir. He literally puts them first and puts himself last, and that's just so wholesome to see. Like, yes sir. An example of this was when he helped Minhui with her project. We'll start the clip here.
我想帮也帮不了啊。那可不一定。哦，我怎么忘了？我身边坐着一个财神爷呢。财神爷，有没有兴趣加入我呢？这个嘛，看你表现。
I want to add this also for her character alone, but it also, of course, goes on with Xin Qi's character, since of course they're together. Yeah, Minhui is very much someone that when you try to help, she's just like, no, I can do it by myself. And that just, again, very much is due to her always having to do everything by herself in the past. And that is very much trauma. That is very much a trauma response. She just isn't used to seeing people, like, you know, caring for her, or people, like, you know, doing things for her. She just very much is like, no, like, I can do it myself. Like, you guys don't need to help. It's totally fine, you know. Very much the way she is, it's very much because of trauma. But with Xin Qi's personality, of course, he reminded her, as the amazing husband he is, that he's now here to support her. As for him and his son, Shen's relationship, it's nothing but wholesome. Here's one of my favorite scenes of their interactions. I'll just put it here.
又是你！又见面了。你结婚了吗？你说什么？你结婚了吗？没有啊。那你有女朋友吗？没有。我跟你说，爸爸不能随便乱叫的啊。我妈咪说了，我爸爸长得特别帅，我觉得你就挺帅的，那我爸爸更合适。
Again, guys, I want to apologize how many times I keep pausing in terms of, like, whenever I talk. It's just that I'm just so tired today, so I apologize. Like, once this video goes up, I do apologize for pausing so much, because every time, like, I read, I'm just, like, falling asleep midway. So I do apologize. Hopefully the next time I record a video, I'm more lively and awake. Because yeah, right now I'm just very tired and dead, since these days lately have been very long, since a lot of stuff has happened. So yeah, I'm tired. So if you notice how, like, my mood is very, like, not as usual, it's very much because of that, so I apologize. Okay, so I only have one specific flaw of his that I could come up with, because he very much has flaws, and I'm like, I know there's more, and I just couldn't really think of what other flaws he had, but there were definitely more. But let me know in the comments down below what are some other flaws besides the one I'm gonna mention that you guys think he has. So please leave your comments down below for that. The only flaw that I can think of as of right now for him, I only recall him being very selfless. Like, literally, when you told this man who has a heart condition to go to his checkups, he would refuse and continue to work. And it's because, of course, like, he would always put his work first more than anything. And so he would completely ignore about his well-being. Like, how are you gonna work if something is wrong with your health? Like, you cannot force yourself to work when clearly you're not okay. Like, everything's gonna go wrong when you're working on whatever you're working on, and so might as well just take a break. There was even a time that he avoided the signs of him needing to get treatment, and he literally fainted. And it was when he was proposing to Midway. I will insert it here. It's devastating and honestly traumatizing for her since she literally saw it happen before. So I'm just like, okay, so now I'm going to talk about Min Shen Shen, which is their child, and I was debating on whether or not to include him in this because he's just like, of course, you know, their son, and he's very much a child, so what is there to, you know, talk about? Like, I still want to mention him though. So for one, of course, I would definitely say he's a very adorable child. He would do anything for his family. He's very lively, strong, and smart. He is very smart. Like, he always be calling them out on so many things. Like, he'll always say, like, you think I'm dumb because I'm a kid, but actually I know what's right and what's wrong. Like, he'll always say something like that, and I'm just like, that is so funny. Like, he would always just say all these things that just is hilarious. Like, I remember also him saying, like, oh, I would never understand these adults, or whatever he said, like something like that along those lines. It was funny. One of my favorite moments was when he said he wanted his mom to be happy and that he'll always choose her no matter what.
虽然心情很好，但我还是最爱你啊。圈圈，你这么可爱，妈咪怎么舍得把你给别人呢？对不对？
As like I said, that was a very brief little, you know, description of his character. I didn't want to get too much into it because, like I said, like, there's not really much to talk about with his character. So now let's move on to Xiao Mu. I wanted to correct myself with the way I pronounced her name. It's actually pronounced Cao Mu. I actually was listening to them consistently say it, like, from what I'm starting to remember, and honestly, I don't even know why I pronounced it as Xiao Mu here. It's actually Cao Mu. So I apologize for mispronouncing her name, but just letting you guys know in advance that I will be saying it as Xiao Mu, but it's actually pronounced Cao Mu, so I do apologize. And let me tell you, she is one of my favorite characters on the show. I loved her character. She was a girl boss to the max, and I love when women in shows are girl bosses. Like, those are my girlies. She never let anyone talk down to her, and in fact would embarrass that person, like, really badly. And so it honestly... There were so many times in the show, but I'm going to insert this one specific one since I hate this character so much. I don't even remember his name, and I don't want to anyway because he's terrible. But I will insert that clip here with that character.
看看有没有你们要找的照片。丁总姐，你快点没来啊！哎，干嘛你？别动啊，报警啊！有话好好说。
So in terms of the way I would describe her to be hardworking, a girl boss, and energetic. Although she's lively, of course, she does have one side of herself, and that is where she is sad. And this, of course, has to do with the past trauma that she grew up with, and that being in an abusive household. Both her parents would always fight, and seeing that all the time gave her trauma of wanting to have an everlasting relationship. I very much appreciate that they showcase this because many children live in households like this that she went through, so it's very much a way to spread awareness. And I feel like this is definitely something like a family show especially needs, because obviously this show is also very much a family show, So I'm just like, it was very nice to show that. Well, they didn't actually show it. It was more just like tell, which I kind of wish they showed, because they didn't actually show like that whole thing, but they just let her just express it instead and talk about it. But of course, like, her revealing that very much did a lot for her as a character, and also just in general, like, the writer definitely did this as a way to spread awareness, because since this is a family story, they want to spread awareness that not all children are lucky to have, like, you know, 2 loving parents and all that stuff. And so them showcasing that there are families that, you know, obviously this is very much, and I very much appreciate that they showcase this, because many children live in households like this that she went through. So it's very much a way of spreading awareness. And yeah, like, I think this is really good, especially for a family show to do, because usually with family shows, they tend to just show, like, you know, families that are loving for one another and this and that, but that's not always the case. Like, there's some households that are sadly very, like, the A word, and so, you know, it's sad. But yeah, that was really nice of her to include the writer. I really do appreciate that. So moving on to, sorry if I mispronounced his name, I do apologize in advance. So for Chen Jia Jun, one word that comes to mind when I think of his character is dork. Dork. He's very dorky, and it's funny but charming. I'll put a clip here. I would describe him to be loyal, sweet, and dorky, but like other characters who have past traumas, he lost his sister, which is Xin Qi's childhood friend, Su Tian.
See the connection, guys?
And yeah, just letting you know, there's a lot of drama that goes on with this, so if you want to see more about that, if you haven't seen the show, watch it. I highly recommend. It's really crazy, especially that part of the story. So this did a number on him, as he was looking forward to the reunion after so many years of departing from the orphanage. And yes, he was put in an orphanage along with his sister, and Xin Qi also as well. But thankfully, over time, he does get closure for Su Tian and finds out the whole truth of what truly happened to his sister. Yeah, when he found out about the truth, guys, it was just so sad. It was so devastating. This poor man. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Like, some of these are very brief, by the way, and it's just because, yeah, that's just what I could personally come up with, and I also, because I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm just trying to make it into one whole little bits of summaries, because usually, like, my video essays be an hour or 50 minutes, and I don't want this to be too long, so I want it to stay, hopefully, to be less than that. But if this is a long video, honestly, at this point, guys, just expect these to be long. So if this is gonna end up being a long video, grab snacks in the middle of this. Seriously, like, don't just sit here and just watch without any snacks. Anyway, really random. Now let's move on to Yao Zizhu. Again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing their names. I very much apologize for that. And if I do have any Chinese viewers watching this, please correct me in the comments how to pronounce their names. I very much would definitely love to take the time to educate myself and pronounce their names the correct way. I always love to pronounce people's names the correct way that they should be. So never be afraid to correct me in the comments down below regarding stuff like that. So yeah. So for her character, I very much enjoyed her character, but also like kind of found her character to be like overwhelming at times. And I'll tell you guys right now. So I don't know where to start, but for starters, talk about her personality. So she's warm-hearted, she's a hopeless romantic, and caring. She deeply cares for the people around her and is always there for them. So my first impression of her was someone that would be a pushover. And listen, okay, I have a reason as to why I thought of that at first when I was, watching the show. And this is because she would continue to pursue Zhou Ruji even when she knew that he didn't like her. But thankfully over time, they do get together, but that happens until the very end. But the vibes I was getting from her character felt like the very stereotypical innocent girl crazy female character. I felt very irritated by that, so that's why I was like, oh, what if she ends up being that stereotype that all, women are perceived as in stories. So I was just like, side-eyeing it the whole entire time. But we're back. Hi. Okay. And now the camera cut me off again. But this time it didn't die on me. It was just very much just a video being too long, but whatever. I felt very irritated by her character at first due to those things, but I ended up being completely wrong, okay? She ended up standing up for herself and very much played hard to get, as she should. Because let me tell you, I was so happy when she did that. I was just like, oh my god, thank goodness. Because knowing the writer, especially since she's a woman, I was just like, thank you. I'm like, thank goodness. Because I'm just like so glad, like, that stereotype wasn't gonna be that stereotype wasn't gonna be in her character. And so like I was just like super happy to see that that obviously that wasn't gonna be the case. So I definitely really appreciated that. And the reason why I bring this up, it's because many women in stories who usually are the sweet, innocent character, they usually tend to make them crazy for the male interest, and it's honestly so irritating. Let me tell you guys. Like, as I just said, usually when, especially I've noticed with Chinese stories, I've noticed that when they have a woman that's the main character, usually they make them very naive, innocent, or just other things that can come off as very stereotypical. And it's only okay if you do it correctly. Like, if you don't do it the right way, it's gonna come off as honestly like offensive. And that is very much why I bring this up, because there's a lot of men out there that write stories about women and always perceive them to be weak and just very like obsessed over the male interest. And I'm just like, okay, like, alright, okay, time to be sexist all of a sudden, okay. But yeah, like, it's very much cringe and very much stupid, and I'm just like, okay. So that is definitely something I do appreciate about the story, that when it came to her, like, as being someone that is very sweet and innocent, she went for the actual way to do it, which was done really well. So that's why when I saw this with her character at first, I got the impression of her being obsessed, boy crazy, not caring about her well-being. But again, I'm very glad that I ended up being completely wrong. And I will insert the clip right here.
再说，我这么问过花店的人，花店人说这个季节郁金香最美了，我专门给你买的，怎么样，喜欢吗？你知道郁金香花语是什么吗？不知道。博爱，还真挺适合你。我不知道，要不然你以后告诉我你喜欢什么花，我直接买给你啊。我什么花都喜欢，就是不喜欢你送的。哎呦，你别跟着我了，我真不是这个。对的。哎，子舒，你是不是累了？要不我先送你回去啊？我这都没挂好呢，你累了？不，我说好了今天陪你出来逛街的，你去哪儿我就去哪儿。这可是你说的，别后悔啊。走吧。对不起。有这么夸张吗？我能不穿这个东西了吗？我又没逼你，你要是不想，就走呗。别，等我一下。
So, Zhou Ruji. let me tell you guys, he was my least favorite out of all the 3 male leads. His character development was good, but for most of the show, he just was so attached to Minhui and it became extremely annoying. Like, I'm sorry. I am sorry, okay? Like, every time this man would pursue Minhui, I would just be like, dude, no, she does not like you like that. She only sees you as a friend.
You're just friends.
And so I'm just like, every time he would just come out and obviously, you know, try to pursue Minhui, I'm just like, dude, move on. She does not like you like that. Like, I would always yell at the screen every time he came on the screen, and I'm just like, dude, move on. I would literally scream it out and everything, and some of my family members just look and be like, this girl needs help. So yeah, like, dude, if someone is not interested in you, move on. I am sorry, like, I'm the type of person that if someone doesn't like me, I don't care, and I would just move on. But that's probably just me. And if you guys didn't know, I'm an Aries, so I don't know, maybe it has to do with that. But if you very much are like me, well, that's on you, of course. But for me, like, I'm just the type of person that if someone doesn't like me, I really don't care. Like, I'm just like, okay, go about my day, you know? I mean, you all should take that advice, to be honest. If you like his character, I have nothing against you, by the way. Like, if you guys like him, like, this is just my opinion, okay? Like, if you guys like him, you know, like, of course, everyone likes whatever character they want. But for me, like, I couldn't like him, I'm sorry. But yeah, like, I don't hate his character, but I just think he's whatever to me. That's just me, okay? That's literally just me. Maybe you guys feel the same, some of you guys, but that's just how I feel about him. Although I would admit, though, that I loved seeing him do everything he can to win back Yao Zizhu's love, which I very much enjoyed watching, by the way. Like, the many times I laughed because I was, like, you know, the many times I laughed seeing him just literally failing every single time to impress her. It was just funny. I couldn't stop laughing. For each of these sections, they're going to be very short and brief because I just want to keep this video as short as possible and not as lengthy, I'm hoping. Please, fingers crossed. So for relationships, I don't want to go too in detail about the couples because I already talked about it a little bit. Honestly, out of all 3 couples, I would say Minhui and Xin Qi are my favorite in terms of development. Because I noticed with the other 2 couples, they're cute too, but there were off and on, like, things going on with, for example, Cao Mu and Chen Jia Jun, and that kind of threw the relationship off for me. Like, I was like, okay, like, I understand, like, you know, obviously relationships like that can happen at times, but it was just very much annoying because I'm just like, do you guys want to be together or not? Like, no offense, okay? Like, no offense to those who are like that, but, you know, with their relationships. But I'm just like, it just felt really off to me, especially when they weren't together. Like, it was just like, okay. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, I feel like just them having, like, an off and on relationship, it very much, like, took a lot of their development away as, like, a couple. And so because of that, like, seeing them finally get together after debating on being together or not, it very much threw their whole relationship away for me because it just, like, didn't develop correctly. But that's just how I feel about it. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments down below. And I would say the same for Yao Zizhu and Zhou Ruji, because the whole entire time it was her trying to pursue Yao Zizhu, because the whole entire time it was just her trying to pursue Zhou Ruji, and we didn't get to see much of her talents or really, honestly, her character as much, besides what we did see, of course. because we did get glimpses here and there of her obviously being a ballet dancer, and so we were like, okay, like that's cute, you know, I really like that. But we didn't really see that as much, and I kind of was bummed because when you watch the show, and the intro of course plays first, she showcases that in the intro, so I was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna see this often, and we didn't end up getting it as often as I thought we would, so that's why I was like bummed out. I was like, okay, like she only showcased her dancing maybe like 3 times. I'm not too sure if it's just 3, maybe it could be more than that, but I'm assuming it is because I don't remember it happening as much as I could recall, so yeah. So it honestly sucks. So that's definitely something that threw me off for her character. And then as far as Zhou Ruji goes, I would honestly say he literally just continued to be in love with Minhui for a whole bunch until like later on episodes, and that's when he finally like, you know, stopped liking her. But yeah, due to these reasons, we didn't get to see the relationship develop more than what they left for the audience. And obviously, they're side characters at the end of the day, but they could still have good development. Because I hate when people say that, oh, like, they're side characters, so it doesn't really matter how much development they get. Like, at the end of the day, they're just side characters, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's true, but side characters are still in the story. So, if they're significant to the story still, they should be developed right, even though they're side characters, you know? And so, I personally think that, especially for their case, like, I think it could have been a lot better. Like, I just think it needed to be developed and done better, in my opinion. Like it could have been done correctly, but yeah, like for their case, I just think that she could have written it a lot better. Like, she could have went about it differently when it came to like developing their relationships, because instead of dragging the whole entire time, for example with Zhou Ruji and Yao Zizhu, like, she could have at least started like midway in the show for them to start developing feelings for one another, and that's when he could have stopped, you know, liking Minhui. But sadly, it ended up being until the very end, and I was really bummed out. I was like, why? And then for Chen Jia Jun and Cao Mu, like, for them to, I wish they didn't have an off-on relationship, to be honest. Like, that was really annoying to watch, and I honestly wish, like, they could have just had at least a break once, you know, and just sort out their feelings instead of being so attached to each other, because I feel like they didn't have time to, like, develop themselves individually, and so because of that, that very much affected a lot what happened in the relationship. So I feel like that very much had a huge impact on their characters and their relationship as a whole. So it very much was flawed in that sense. But yeah, that's just how I feel about that. Before we continue to the next section, I wanted to mention Cao Mu and Minhui's relationship with one another, because I think it's really wholesome, and like throughout the whole entire show I always just found it really like cute and just so sweet to see how like close they were as, you know, as colleagues but also as besties, because throughout the show Cao Mu always has Minhui's back, and the same thing for Minhui, and it's just really nice to see. So I wanted to take some time to like appreciate that. I actually want to show you guys some clips, like a little compilation of just them supporting one another, because I just think it's really sweet and it's just like admirable. Also, like I would totally want a friendship like theirs.
乔木，乔木，啊，你要恋爱了？干嘛一直看着手机傻乐？没有，就一小哥哥。小哥哥，多小？你少打听。哎，你上次是不是哄我的？是不是真有人让你跳槽？真没有。 而且我那个事情都解决了，解决了啊！什么事解决了？快跟我说。其实就是我想太多了。和海香说了，都是白安的人，分什么一步二步？要团结。这个时候团结了，怎么脏活累活全让我们干呢？要不给你再招一帅哥，帅得惊天地泣鬼神啊！曹总是想自己招是吧？今天公司出什么事了？我问你啊，我是不是你最好的朋友？是啊，那你来百安这几年我对你好不好？好啊，不是曹沫，能别这么问吗？你这么问我特别慌。我才慌呢。 我问你，你是不是谈恋爱了？我谈恋爱？ 我谈没谈恋爱你不知道啊？我每天除了上班就是在加班，剩下的时间用来陪全全都不够，我哪有时间谈恋爱啊？那这是什么？是，那个丁立峰啊，真的好好收拾收拾，越来越过分了。哎，你也挺厉害的啊，从上班到现在不到1个小时，愣是写出个程序来。你看我是神仙啊，你别说给我1小时，你给我1天我也写不出来。那，所以你在夸丁立峰？对啊，那谁让他心虚呢？好吧。我的天哪，李云慧，从今天开始，你就是我的偶像。
So let's move on to the women empowerment section. Okay, so I had to include this section here because the women empowerment in this show is amazing, and I just have to point it out. So let me tell you guys, finding C-dramas that empower women is quite hard to find, but believe me, they are there. Like, they're there. You just have to look really deep, but they are there. And this show is an example of it being a women empowerment but underrated. This show definitely deserves more love. I love what the writer decided to do for female characters, and I noticed this because, of course, a woman wrote this. The moment I saw how uplifting it was towards the women in the show, and yeah, literally the signs were there. I was like, oh yeah, for sure a woman wrote this. And because, listen, I'm not saying men can't write women correctly, you know, they can't write women the way they're supposed to be written, but it's just that it's so rare that it doesn't really happen as often. And when it, you know, and what I mean by that as in like, it's not as often you see a man write a woman the way we as women want women to be portrayed as in stories. So usually it always ends up being very like offensive and all that, and just comes off as sexist and misogynistic and many other things. So yeah, that's why like whenever I now look at like stories that are written by like the male gaze for like, you know, their character that's a woman, I'm just like, I don't know if I can trust it. I always have to like, you know, question everything and look into the reviews because I'm just like, what if, you know, like I don't know. So I always get concerned about that now, and especially with seeing a lot of C-dramas in the past that were heavily written by men. And whenever they had a female character, they would always write them like crap, and it was just terrible. Like it was so bad that it was just like so hard to watch. Like they literally like all the time, I'm not even kidding, like usually a lot of C-dramas that are written by men, it always tends to be like, you know, them having the woman be portrayed as weak or boy crazy, and it's just so annoying. Like really and it's just disgusting, you know, it's just absolutely disgusting. And literally they always make the male characters toxic as hell. Like I'm not even kidding, they're so toxic. And there's so many shows that I can name right now that are C-dramas that very much are toxic. For example, Meteor Garden. Don't ever talk to me about that, and that is why I'm gonna make a video essay about that show actually, along with just the Boys Over Flowers franchise as a whole. You guys will be seeing that hopefully soon. I don't know when it's gonna be out, but hopefully sometime later this year. But that is a story that I really want to talk about on this channel because ooh, it's so toxic and oh, it's terrible. Editing me again. I keep interrupting the video, I know, but while I was editing this video I was doing some more research regarding the like screenwriters and just in general the writers for Meteor Garden. So I was looking more like information on the writers, and I couldn't find anything like regarding like, you know, pictures of them and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm not too sure, but I looked up Boys Over Flowers, like the original story, which is a manga, by the way. Manga meaning a Japanese story. So I looked into it, and it actually happened to be a woman who wrote the story. Yeah. I'm like, oh no, not this situation. Again, I'm going to talk about Boys Over Flowers as a whole franchise, like all of the adaptations, including of course the most popular being the K-drama. I'm going to do like a whole video essay and talking about all of the adaptations as a whole, which probably will be like one of my longest videos ever, maybe. Like I'm going to say it's probably going to be like 2 or 3 hours long. Like I'm not too sure as of right now, but just knowing that it's going to be a lot of adaptations in that video, for sure it's going to be a long one. So until then, yeah, because as of right now, I don't want to get into this because I'm focusing as of right now, of course, The Love You Give Me. So I will definitely be making a video essay on Boys Over Flower as a whole someday. And I believe I might have some guests on the video as well, but I won't guarantee that for sure until I confirm with the guests that I have in mind. But yeah, like when I found out that it was written by a woman, I was just like, oh, so it's this type of situation. Oh no. So because I was mentioning in the video that, oh, usually when it's written by a man, it's always going to be, you know, of course, it's always going to be written as a way of women being weak and this and that. But I also wanted to mention that it doesn't always have to be a man. Sadly, there's also women, like situations like Boys Over Flowers, where sadly they are writing toxic stuff with a lot of their characters, and it always makes the female characters look weak. And that is just very much internalized misogyny, guys. And who can you blame that? Very much men. Yep. Yeah. But anyway, I don't want to get into more of that and back to the video because that's gonna be saved for another day. So seeing this for a change is truly an amazing sight to see. So please support the women writing these stories so there continues to be more women in the writer's room, because seriously, like, we need more women in the writer's room. There's sadly not as much women when it comes to, like, you know, the writing industry, and it's honestly sad because obviously many women are just as gifted when it comes to writing and definitely deserve more love. So please continue to support women when it comes to writing, guys, please. So please watch the show is what I'm trying to get at here. Now we're at the last section of this video, and it's the plot. So for the plot for this show, it isn't just about like a reunion of lovers, but also rather other elements too, such as motherhood, awareness of those who are victims of SA, awareness of those who struggle with heart conditions, awareness of a generational trauma, and many more. Seeing all these topics throughout this show was so touching, and it made me want more of this in future stories. I would definitely recommend this show for anyone to watch, but just keep in mind regarding the essay content that does happen quite often in the show, and generational trauma that happens also. So like, yeah, because definitely that is something that does happen a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but it does happen here and there in the show, and it's the essay part of it. So just please, like, you know, trigger warning at those type of scenes. So if you obviously can't watch stuff like that, I wouldn't recommend. Or just if you want, I can tell you what episodes that it happens for you to, like, you know, be aware when it does happen. And yeah, I can let you guys know about that if you like. And as far as the generational trauma goes, I know a lot of people, including me, very much struggle with that whole thing, and so obviously it can be kind of triggering and hard for people to watch. So just also keep in mind that it's also mentioned. It's not like a huge portion in the story, actually. It's only like towards the very end of the show, but if you would like me also to tell you when it happens, I can, you know, let you know. But yeah, So again, if you haven't seen the show already, please give it a watch. Like, please. It's such a good story. It's worth the watch. Yes, there's a lot of episodes, but it's actually less compared to other C-dramas. I think it's 28 episodes, if I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, I think. But yeah, so that is all with this video essay. I hope I kept it short, but if not, I do apologize. And I also apologize for pausing so much. It's just that I'm just so tired, and I've just been really tired lately. So I do apologize, and I also apologize. I know I keep saying I apologize. I really am. I really am sorry for not being able to like post a lot this month. I even wanted to like do a little bit more reactions, but due to a lot of things that happened in my personal life, I had a lot going on. So because of that, I decided to just do 2 videos this month, and hopefully within the next month I can do more. But since I am going to be moving to college now, and since obviously I am going to move to the school and live in the dorms and everything, so it's going to be a whole thing. So maybe until like, I'll probably film something maybe the first week or second week of August, but towards the middle and towards the end of August I will be very busy because the moving day is coming soon, and then also college is coming very soon, so I'm going to have a very crazy schedule coming soon. So yeah, just letting you guys know now. And if I do randomly go silent, it may be because of personal reasons or just because I'm just really tired and I need a break. But I need to get videos out because I need money. Okay. No, but actually though, like, please support the channel because I am going to be a college student soon, and I very much need to provide for myself. So in order to do that, you know, gotta continue making my videos and be consistent. So to close the video out, thank you guys so much for watching this video essay. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more. And again, I urge you guys to please subscribe because, as I mentioned with my previous videos, a lot of you guys who watch my videos aren't subscribed. So again, subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. And yeah, so hopefully I can get a video out soon in August. And if not, I will see you guys soon. So bye guys.